How's it going, everyone? I hope you all are having a great week so far. Today I have another Saab auction. This one is a 1972 Saab Sonett 3 with no reserve on Bring a Trailer, and it's got some interesting things done to it. If you saw my last auction video that I posted with that highly modified Saab 900, which was super cool, had a huge bidding war, sold for big money, check that out in the top corner up here. But this hopefully will be equally as cool, but I guess we'll see. There are 9 minutes left on the auction, so let's go ahead and look through it, and I'll give you guys the quick rundown on what this car is. But before I do that, make sure to check out my Patreon if you haven't already. It is linked at the top of the description down below. You can get access to content early or just help support the channel a little bit more. So let's get into it. The current bid for this car is $5,300, which is a little bit low in my opinion. I mean, you can see right off the bat here, it's a very clean car cosmetically. Now, it's a 37,000 miles shown TMU. TMU means true mileage unknown. So maybe at some point the gauge cluster is replaced. I'm sure there's more information about it in this ad here. Or maybe it, I don't know, there could be a variety of reasons. So it's likely that the actual mileage isn't 37,000, and that could very well hurt the value of it. But outside of that, of course, we have the 1.9 liter iconic V4 motor. Such a cool motor just in classic Saabs and just a motor in general. I did a review on a Sonett a long time ago. If you guys want to see that, make sure to click up here in the top corner to check that out when you're done with this. But it was very similar to this car, just orange, not yellow. 4-speed manual transmission. It's got 15-inch wheels, which I have to say fit the car very well. I mean, they're not the soccer ball wheels, which are pretty iconic on the Sonetts, but I think the color scheme of the wheels and the car especially, it fits very well. Overall, exterior-wise, it's very clean. Now, what I do find very interesting is this interior. You can see they pretty much put in like some sort of a full roll cage. It pretty much says the carpets have been removed and a roll cage and racing harnesses have been installed. So maybe this was rallied at some point, or was at least built to be a rally car. Although, personally, if I were to rally a car, I wouldn't rally a 50-year-old Saab. That's just me, though. Nothing against the car itself. But it's definitely an interesting look. You can see they have a bunch of padding everywhere, which I'm sure helps it look, I mean, makes it a little bit more comfortable, I guess, so you're not banging your arm on hard steel or whatever metal that's made out of. But it looks like they just used pool noodles and some yellow tape here, so it's not a very good look cosmetically, if I'm being completely honest. It's definitely like the one thing when I was looking through this ad earlier, I'm like, wow, that's very interesting. But there's just classic Sonett dash. It's so unique. I mean, just older cars in general, they're so much different than modern cars in a million different ways. But that, just the vertical dials and everything, that's not all too common. There's that Ford, I believe it's a Ford V4 motor. If I'm wrong, I apologize, and someone will probably correct me in the comments. But it's just such an iconic kind of motor. Like, no one makes a V4. Like, all motors are just inline 4s. But it's different, and it just fits Saab so well. But looks like the underside of the car is very clean as well. There's like holes in the subframe here, which is pretty cool, where the exhaust just went through. So that's interesting as well. I'm sure this exhaust is not 50 years old because it looks very nice. But I'm not seeing any rust at all, so that's very interesting. Of course, this car is also front-wheel drive, just like, I guess, literally every other Saab in existence, with the exception of something like the Turbo X right here. Because it's not like that modified 900, the ad itself is pretty short, so I guess we can go ahead, look through the photos here, and see what else there is to see that we haven't already looked at. It's just such a... I've always thought the proportions on the Sonett is just a little bit funky. Like, the front half of the car is just so long, and then the back half, it comes to an end so quickly. Like, I feel like the proportions of front to rear are just a little bit off, so it looks a little bit goofy from the side, if I'm being honest, but again, that's part of what adds to the quirkiness of the whole car, you know? It's not an ugly car by any means. I mean, others might disagree, but I've always thought it's pretty cool looking. Got the nice dual exhaust. Looks like the paint, it was definitely repainted at some point, I'm sure, but there's a few, small blemishes that I'm seeing here in these photos. There's the interior. Again, I'm sure the seats were reupholstered at some point as well because they look to be in pretty nice condition. And that roll cage is just so interesting. I can't even imagine how hard it is to get in and out of this car. I'm sure it's a bit of a chore. Could definitely use a little bit of a cleaning up, for sure. Surprised. I mean, I'm surprised that wasn't cleaned up a little bit better for the photos. And there's the Ford V4. Some other mechanical parts. Kind of going through these fast, I apologize, but I'm just amazed by the fact that I am not seeing any ounce of rust on this car. So that's pretty amazing. I think that alone is part of what makes this car at least somewhat valuable. I mean, a lot of that stuff, that suspension looks to be pretty new. Just so I'm sure there's a lot of relatively new parts on this car. And there's just some random old photos. Okay, so let's exit out of here. The bid, whoa, okay. I shouldn't have looked at the photos from that long. It was at 5,100 or 5,300 when we started at 10 minutes, and it jumped up like from when I clicked on the photos and skimmed through them all in the last 2 minutes. It's now 8,150. So let's see what's going on down here in the bids, because that's quite the significant jump. Okay, so he bid 5,400, this guy bid 5,600, then he said, all right, I'll bid 5,700, and then Bug was like, I just want to buy this car right now. I'm going to bid 8,150 instead of bidding 5,800 or 6,000. I'm just going to bid like 2,500 more than the previous bid. So maybe a little bit overkill, maybe it was a typo, I don't know. I'm sure these bidders all have their own respective strategies, but we'll see if any more bids come in, because that was a pretty significant jump right there. Overall, there have been 11 bids placed on this car, so not nearly as crazy as some of the other auctions I've filmed. But nonetheless, I mean, these are always cool to watch at the end. But we're down to under a minute now. Bid is still at 8,150. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Looks like that's it. Yep, it sold for 8,150. So who knows? If I'm being honest, Bug, maybe you could have gotten that car for $6,000 instead of 8,150. But I respect the chutzpah on you to jump from 5,700 to 8,150. So not quite the exciting end that we have seen in a lot of these other videos, but still fun nonetheless. I think that's going to wrap it up though, guys. Pretty cool. I think this is the first auction, or the first video I've done in this auction series with a Sonett. So let me know if you want to see more of these in the future. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Check out my Patreon if you haven't already. And I'll see y'all next time.